as a signal. We will not be divided. Show them who we are. Show them the work we have done. Show them that we are powerful. This is our streets.
That's 1 minute. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you. This is black and brown unity, people. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Today we make lowrider history. You gotta go on Whittier Boulevard, the historical landmark of cruising. Power to the people. One minute of silence. Everybody, hands raised, please.
Really slow breaths. I'm right here. Okay? I'm right between you and them. They can't hit you.
Same thing on you, okay? This is gonna hopefully spray them out. It's gonna be a little forced. Link if you can. Link if you can. Other side, other side. Tilt your head to the side a little bit. There you go. Now other side. Blink if you can. Blink if you can. Feeling better?
Put your fucking guns down! That's all I got, bro. What you got?
Thank you. Yeah. Let him get. Feeling better?
More milk.
All right, just water. No milk. Oh, milk is not good to use. Milk is not good to use.
No.
Okay.
This is magnesium.
Yeah. I'm saying milk is no good.
Really slow breaths. I'm right here. Okay.
They go like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters?
Yo, you ain't never come around to my casa. I know, but you don't know the pain of my raza. Just came to paint a picture. I'm the man with the paint and the pickup. I'm the one with paletas de agua, de piña, de coco, de mango, de guava. You don't wanna mess around with my squad. We are the rebels, we all out loud.
I came up with a couple of guys who always kept a 9 in the glove of the Dodge. Koran in the right hand and left middle finger for them jump out boys when they run up on the squad. So we got John Jackson, ball faction, hold the world hostage. When the camera's apart, that's how you know imposters. If they ain't no seeing in them boys, will double cross you. While they gorillas out at midnight, toss a mother.
They go like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters?
In my experience, only the illest shooters can properly transition to leading a crew of shooters and shooting along with them and getting arrested with them. And if it come down to dying, you dying along with them. I know, homie, but I would never follow you to battle if you never seen an armor light at you. And you can never tell me what the neighborhood in need of. If you ain't never lived inside the neighborhood, you speak up, we gon'
like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Look, who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters?
It's fuck the police with my every breath. Conscious rappers living life like fairy tales. I grow close to the death of jail with every step. I sold a piece of my soul with every piece I sold. We come from EBT, Roman noodles, and pizza roll. Magazines for sources of trouble to make sinners fold. Long as I got work falling off the clock like hickory dickory. Fuck America, this is history. Drillers and killers in the headline. You ain't a revolutionary if you never did fair time. Quoting the shot but you wouldn't kill a fruit fly. Real life, 3 open cases so I can prove mine. Jesus was in Chicago, he probably gangbang. AK, lift like CT Fletcher, maintain. Leaders and the students are same motherfucker. Single mothers living next to her, the range motherfucker. I'm
like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Like this bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters?
Beat up there on West Florissant is flourishing. Revolution in the air, thank Ferguson. Unnamed shooters on the front line, serving them. Police had to retreat, these streets burning them. Time passes, what came from the ashes. In the aftermath, who paid, who cashed in. I don't see those faces that was masked in the actions. Call them homies backing, let's get it cracking.
One time for the Angela Davises, 2 times for Asada Shakur. Exercising my rights to carry, bitch. What you think all the guns is for? Rather go out standing thin down my knees. I'ma shoot a motherfucker then cry in peace. Shake it off, reload, back on the front line. Time to wake that ass up, cause it's the crunch time.
They go like this, bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters? Like this bitch, you decide your future. Who are the leaders? Who are the shooters?
Good afternoon. If you're here in Los Angeles, it's afternoon. If you're on the East Coast, good evening to you all. My name is Tandasizwe Shimaringa, and I am with Black August Los Angeles. This is our program, our discussion on Black and Brown unity for Black August Resistance 2020. We wanted to start us off right, get us in the right frame of mind by showing various clips. We are forever grateful to people like Yakuza, Ron Furukawa, the brothers and sisters who documented for us the Unity March from East Los Angeles, East Los, into downtown Los Angeles, City Hall, LAPD headquarters. And we also saw some of the violence that was inflicted when brothers and sisters marched on the Compton Sheriff Station in support of Andres Guardado, who was murdered by the Compton Sheriff, shot 5 times in the back. So we wanted to show you those scenes, most recent scenes of Black and Brown unity to get you in the right mindset. And we appreciate that video that we just saw also by Rebel Diaz and Tef Poe, rapper out of St. Louis or Ferguson, Missouri, talking about leaders and shooters. Black August is about resistance, and we're not going to, I'm not going to belabor you too much with the history of Black August. If you've been following along, you've been hearing us talk about the origins, the correct origins, the historical origins of Black August, where it comes from, why we commemorate, not celebrate, but commemorate those who stood against the state in the prisons, behind the walls of California prisons. This is not Happy Black August. You don't greet people that way. This is a very somber and serious time, and it's a commemoration, not a celebration. But as part of that commemoration, we understand that there's been unity behind the walls, people who have stood with those Black men who created Black August, who have stood with them against the state. And of course, I'm talking about people like Afro-Nicaraguan, Hugo Pinel, and Bato Talamantes, Mexicano Chicano brother. I'm not sure if he'll be able to join us on the line at some point tonight, but if not, we send our love out to him and to the other members of the San Quentin Six who stood with George Jackson. So again, we wanted to show those videos because even though we know that there have been issues, there have been tensions, as they say, between Black and Brown, we have far more in common than we do that divides us. We have a far more richer history of unity than the current events that divide us. So that's one of the things we want to talk about today with our dynamic panel. I'm going to bring, excuse me, I'm going to bring a couple of our panelists in right now. I'm going to be introducing a couple of them before they speak. And as others come on in, we'll bring them in and just have a lively conversation. And hopefully also, if you've got comments or questions, we can incorporate those also. So the first person I would like to bring in is a member of Black August Los Angeles. He is a co-founder of Black August in the California prison system, Brother Jitu Sadiki, longtime activist, again, a founder of Black August in the California prison system, a member of the Equal Rights Congress, founder of BACDO, Black Community Awareness Development Organization. Excuse me, and currently a member of Black August Los Angeles. We also have available with us today Sister Dulcinea Arroyo. Did I pronounce it correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
Hi.
her pronouns are she and her. She's a member of Union del Barrio. We have Raul Garcia, who, you have to excuse me, I don't have, you're a member of the Northeast Los Angeles Huico. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, brother.
It's all good. It's all good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can definitely hear you. I'll get back to your bio in a second. And we also have with us the First Lady of the Supernatural Lowrider Car Club, Tina Blankenship Early. We're waiting on a couple of other folks to join with us, but for now, we're going to start out with our brother G2 Sadiki, who is going to ground us in this history of Black and Brown unity that I spoke of.
Greetings, everyone. All of those that are joining us on the panel, I greet you, and also the community that's participating. As Tandy said, and I don't recall Tandy introducing herself, but that's Tandy Sizwe. Tandy Sizwe Chimaranga, who I joined as a member of Black August Los Angeles. The sister's been really committed to this work we're doing. I want to commend her for putting this together. This was actually her idea, and so I'm really glad that she took the initiative with this. In terms of Black and Brown unity, in fact, Black and Brown solidarity, this is not something new. This goes back generations. This goes back hundreds of years. When Africans were brought to this country and were enslaved, we have a lot of similarities, as Tanya mentioned. We got more in common than we do different. But it's important that we begin to look at some of the issues, start having dialogue about those issues that impact both our communities. On this video, on this program, we got some video footage that we're going to be showing that in more recent times talks about the unity, both in prison and in the community. I was in prison in the early 70s or mid 70s when those issues of conflict came up, and we looked for ways to address that. In most recent time, the brothers that were warehoused in Pelican Bay, SHU, understood after being warehoused for decades, understood the need to work together to liberate themselves from the SHU program. At the time, they had indeterminate SHU, and they organized some hunger strikes, one in 2011, another in 2013.
Brother G2.
Yes.
What is the SHU? What does SHU mean?
My bad. SHU is the security housing unit. It's a prison inside of the prison. It's the second level because they have another one called strip cells, which is a prison inside of a prison inside of a prison. I spent 4 years in the SHU when I was in prison in the 70s. And these brothers, a lot of the brothers that I was in the SHU with in the 70s, only recently got out of solitary confinement in 2015, 2014, after the successful lawsuit. I'm not going to take too much of time with this because we got a lot of speakers and a lot of stuff to share. But Tanya mentioned Luis Talamantes and Hugo Pineo were two brothers who were Latin brothers that along with other brothers, Willie Taylor, who we call Sundiata, David Johnson, who's known as Giap, Larry Spain, and Fleeta Drumgo, who were all members of the San Quentin Six. I want to send word out to particularly to Giap, David Johnson, and Sundi, who may be on later. Both these brothers in their 70s, and they're both ill. So I want to send prayers out to them, and hope that they recover from their illnesses. I'm gonna stop right there, Tanya, so we can get into the program.
Did you want to go to the clips you had mentioned?
Yeah, one of the clips we're going to go through right now is it's called My Video. This is a clip of the first peace summit, a national peace summit that took place in Kansas City, Missouri, in '93. In that, it was a successful summit. It brought a lot of people together around the country in terms of peace. But what was important for myself and some of the other brothers I met there, some of the Brown brothers I met there, was that we understood what the situation was in California that was unique from anywhere around the country. So that bond that was created in 1993 has lasted all those years. I mean, these are my brothers. So we can go to that.
Alrighty. So it looks like it's not going to, it's either taking too long to play or it's not going to play. That's a technology issue. We'll see if we can come back to that later on in the show, in the program. But for some reason, it's buffering. You know how that goes. It's just seeming to buffer a little bit too much. So instead of just waiting on it and watching it go round and round, I'm going to come over here now to our sister, Hermana Dulcinea Arroyo, who is a member of Union del Barrio here in Los Angeles. She is a graduate of the University of California, Santa Barbara, with a BA in sociology, and she's done major work with Mujer and El Congreso at UCSB, and as well as she's been an organizer to preserve El Centro, a Chicanx Latinx Cultural Resource Center and political space as well for organizations such as Students for Justice in Palestine. Sister Dulcinea.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting Unión del Barrio into this very important discussion on Black and Brown solidarity. So I have prepared a piece for me to gather all my thoughts because there's a lot of deep and rich history, as the comrade before me mentioned, a history long since the beginning of colonization of Black and Brown solidarity. A true liberation from the shackles of this capitalist system and society lies in the collective organization of Black and Brown communities. We share a common history, a common oppressor that has stolen from us the right to live freely, without the fear of hunger, without the fear of homelessness, lack of nourishment, education, etc. Our lands were stolen, our bodies till this day exploited, and our minds colonized. We have no other option but rebellion, revolt, revolution for the creation of a new society. And George Jackson and the San Quintin Six in their historic prison revolt demonstrated to the United States that living in the belly of the beast presents not an obstacle but a responsibility to lead the liberation of all oppressed people. That the power of Black and Brown political organization is fully capable of shaking the system to its very core. And that is what must be emphasized at this time. Political organization with a clear understanding of the enemy, capitalism, colonialism, imperialism. It is this understanding that made George Jackson and the San Quintin Six so dangerous. But this could not have been done without the organization of the prisoners. Jackson, Pinel, and Talamante were immersed in a prison environment in which prisoners segregated themselves based on race. The inside of the prison reflected the reality of society. There was no collectivism, no trust, no unity. But Jackson and Pinel changed that, creating the conditions for a prison revolt that set in motion other uprisings like the Attica prison riot and gave power to the so-called powerless. So today in our gathering, we celebrate Black August and the militancy of Judge Jackson and Black radical leaders. But the material conditions today are far worse than in 1971, and that is evident not only from looking at our society, but the deterioration of Mother Earth. The prison industrial complex has expanded, incorporating detention centers made up of Black and brown refugee seekers, mostly women and children, on a global scale. The imprisonment of humanity for profit of a few corporations is expanding, looking to grasp anyone in its way. Black and brown students are manipulated and pushed into the military, where they face rape, torture, and death. The wealth gap between the capitalists and the masses has only been made more evident. More of humanity lives at the brink of existence. So where do we stand? Unión del Barrio stands with the Black community to further the struggle for political, social, and economic liberation for all the oppressed and exploited. We believe in internationalism and socialism. As part of the brown Latino community, we also see police terrorism and prison industrial complex as a constant threat in our communities, which legacy began with our colonization. Unión del Barrio has a long history of organizing against the prison industrial complex and detention centers. A very important project founded by Pablo Aceves, may he rest in power, is the Chicano Mexicano Prison Project started in the 80s. A newsletter crafted especially for those who are incarcerated to read and begin the process of politicization and empowerment of themselves against the system. And the following is an excerpt of this project. We should see prisons as capitalist, imperialist, colonist institutions designed primarily to contain our communities and as a way to impede our massive participation in liberation movements within the current borders of the U.S. Therefore, our struggle is not one just against prisons, but against the conditions in society which force many people into criminal behavior and expose the true criminals that profit from the incarceration of masses of people. This message ties back to the legacy of Judge Jackson in the San Quentin Six and their work to politicize prisoners and creating that Black and brown unity. We've organized against police terrorism. One of our latest actions was a car caravan from Compton to downtown LA police headquarters. We have also organized against car impounds and checkpoints that target poor and undocumented folks. And in San Diego, we have an effective organization of community patrolling where comrades are called upon to help resolve issues instead of calling the police. This tactic has been very effective in combating ICE raids and illegal ICE appearances at people's homes. But what about the racism and microaggressions that are not always evident? We must address the racism and colorism that exists within the brown and Latino communities to truly unify and understand each other. Race is but a tactic of divide and conquer that has colonized the minds of brown Latinos into thinking that their lived experiences are drastically distinct from those of the Black community. As an organization, we understand that it is our responsibility to dismantle this racism and prejudice against anti-Blackness. As we continue to grow and organize, we hold ourselves to high standards of self-reflection about our work and how we present ourselves. We must counter narratives propagated by mainstream Spanish media like Univision and Telemundo that reinforce anti-Blackness and portray the Black community as our enemies. And in a time of presidential elections, we must be careful what we are being sold. We are told that we live in a post-racial society, that racism does not exist anymore. America had its first Black president, and under his presidency, the events in Ferguson occurred. Jones kept terrorizing the lives of people overseas, and deportation was at its highest. Now we have Kamala Harris, a woman, a Black woman, a cop, who is anti-LGBTQ, who supports the occupation of Palestine. Is this progress? Is this international solidarity? Are we holding our end in the revolution, living in the belly of the beast? We are being sold representation and a seat at the table. We do not want a seat at the table. Judge Jackson and San Quentin Six did not look to cooperate and be included by their oppressors. And during Black August, we remember that. imported in detail of anti-capitalism, anti-colonialism, and anti-imperialism. Let us organize together in solidarity to create our own realities through grassroots and community organizing. So thank you very much for sitting through that very long thing that I typed up. But I think it's very important because without this international and long historic understanding of struggle against our oppressors, we cannot connect all the points. And I think that that is why this panel discussion is very important today, because the problems and the social conditions that existed back during the rebellion of George Jackson and Secretary 6 have only been made more evident and more terrifying to this day. Capitalism is only growing stronger. Humanity and people living on the global scale are, as I said, at the brink of existence. Mother Earth cannot support this anymore. So we are held with the responsibility to organize, right? And I hope that many of you watching this share the same perspective and message. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Dulcinea. We greatly appreciate that. I forgot to mention in the beginning, unfortunately, at the moment, we are not able to do, as you can see, sign language interpretation or Spanish translation. Hopefully one day we will, but unfortunately we're not able to do that at this time. We're trying to get there though. And we're still having a little bit of difficulty with a couple of these videos, so we're just going to keep it moving. I want to bring in now our first lady of the Supernatural Lowrider, Tina Blankenship Early, who has been an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, as she worked for somebody else. I am not mad at you. Get your hustle on. She is the owner of a trucking business. She was the first lady of the Supernatural's Lowrider Car Club. Been a member, been lowriding for 24 years. Also a member of the Supernatural Lowriders Hall of Fame, as well as the National Lowriding Hall of Fame. I believe your vehicle is called Game Killer. Is that what it's called?
Yes, it is.
That's I was told. G2 said Game Killer. I said, huh? That's her car. Her car got a name? Okay. Which has been featured in several films, including Straight Outta Compton, Got the Hookup Too, a couple of videos with Yo-Yo and Tiffany Haddish. Because we were so, we were so pleased and happy to see those lowriders in East Los, like the birthplace. We wanted to have folks into that culture represented today, and that's Raul and yourself. So please, sister, give us some words.
Basically, I'm glad G2 invited me to this. This is kind of really the first time I'm hearing about the Black August Resistance, which is a good thing, and for his lowriding, we have come together as Black and Brown, but there is still some type of blockage there, because I talked to a lot of the brothers, and they don't want to go to Whittier. They feel it's not safe. They don't want to go down to Wilmington. They feel it's not safe, and that's just because of the media, put out things, and then, things have happened in the past. We got to get past the past of all of the, the bad things that have happened between Black and Brown, because actually we're all in for the same goal, and we're actually fighting the same fight that a lot of people don't really understand, the things that we have fought for, basically it's helping both of the races, and then some of the things that they have fought for is helping both of the races. But as far as low riding, like I said, we have a pretty good communication between the Black and Brown communities, and we're just going to keep it going.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. Raul is around somewhere. He may be having some technical difficulties, but that's okay, because I see another one of our panelists is here. But before I bring in this panelist, I want to show a clip of some of the work she's doing. You may know her as Slauson Girl. She is a journalist with a platform, a local platform, World News, with a South Central State of Mind. She's also been doing work around Black Brown Unity. That work is part of that work has been to create more avenues for Black and Brown unity, but she has also been amplifying the efforts of Black and Brown unity. So while we're looking for Raul and getting everything together, we're going to go to a quick clip of Slauson Girl, some of the work that she has been doing.
I'm here today to promote peace, just to continue to growth in the society, this generation is we're particularly talking about. And we just trying to retain to them and, get the racial tension decreased and let's come together as a whole and do better things for each other.
Definitely. So I know Swifty Blue. Would you like to say your name?
My name Jack 5.
Jack 5.
My number 2.
Okay, rapper.
Ask Sarah Delow, rapper, everybody knows.
Okay. And anybody else that wanted to be mentioned?
Urban Kings. One memo right here too. Blacks again.
Okay, nice.
You're representing the culture.
Definitely.
The Black Paisa.
Okay, so as you can see, we have Black and Brown members from our street organizations here, and they wanted to come together today because we've been seeing a lot of these videos going around about our Latin street vendors being attacked.
They don't have nobody to protect them. They're vulnerable.
Right.
They don't have, they can talk all they want, but they don't have the platform to voice what the message they're trying to get across. So I took it upon myself to help them out,
Definitely.
Like a neighborhood hero, however you want to call it, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And so you've even helped to organize fundraisers for...
all I did was basically somebody started the GoFund. Somebody started the GoFund and tell the homies to be quiet. Somebody started GoFund and we went ahead and threw it on the platforms to help them get the money they deserve.
Nice. How much money were you guys able to raise?
We were able to raise, put it on the table. Put it on one of the tables. Put it on one of the tables. We were able to raise $10,000 for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, just so people know what's going on, you guys are here today, but you're also going to be doing like a
little luncheon, just to eat together and show the unity.
About to break bread with each other. That's amazing. Definitely. So I wanted to talk to you real quick because I'm pretty sure we've been seeing your image online, going head up with some of the youth that were actually seen on the video. Actually, I keep calling them youth. How old are they?
They're right here.
Oh, okay. Okay, so why was it important for you to kind of get involved and, reprimand your homies?
Well, honestly, I guess they tagged me in the video, so it brought attention to me. I guess people in the video thought that I had a part of it. So with them thinking I had a part of the video, they start targeting me with death threats and all type of crazy stuff, disrespect.
Right.
So with that being said, I kind of wanted to clear my name up. I kind of was enraged about the fact that they used my name to tag and got this attention on me. So what I did, I went to go get my name cleared up. I had a problem with them putting my name on the video, so I knew what I had to do. But my reason for posting it on the internet was to show my Latin race and everyone around me that that there was consequences for their actions.
Right.
That basically for every action there's a reaction. I just wanted to put down the fact that they were touched. So in case there was any type of tension, that tension would be broken.
So moving forward, what would you guys like to see between the Black and Brown communities, the Black and Brown gangs in Los Angeles?
I know there's more that we could accomplish and we unite together,
Right.
Some real shit, because we got bigger things to worry about.
First things first, we can't really do anything without the help and support. So we're here to build these Black and Brown communities, but we can't do without you guys' help. So those that do see the video, contact us and see how you guys can help us.
Definitely.
Just introduce this is my brother here. He was in the video, an open man. He truly he apologized for it. I'll let him speak for himself.
Oh, you were the actual.
Yeah, he only recorded it.
Oh, you recorded it. Okay.
But he even apologized for the situation, so that's mad respect.
Okay.
That whole, that's it.
We're just trying to teach each other.
He's still showing up here today to show everything. You know?
Right.
So can you just give us your thoughts real quick about the whole thing and how you feel now that it's all said and done?
We didn't think the video was gonna blow up like that. We didn't think it was gonna be all that serious. And then shit. I was only recording, so ain't too much I can say. I thought it was last some jokes, but hopefully that shit was serious than what it was.
First, we want to start off with more people that can just, just get this out there more. We want to get this out there more. Why it's just not about South Central LA. It's about the kids in San Miguel Valley that had something that felt some type of way about it. It's about the people in Mexico that feel some type of way about it. So what we're doing right now, we're just trying to get the community together, let them know, realize that there's a change, something different. We're breaking bread for need some food. You guys just stay tuned in and go to our GoFundMe page and tune in.
How can people reach out to you though? You guys want to give your handles so that
my Instagram is Mr. Jap _5. I'm a local rapper from this area.
Mine's Big Drag Out. I know y'all see it, the Black Paisa, one and only. Just keep tuned in, man. Love you guys.
Yeah, mine is Swifty Blue, and you're gonna hear some music coming from us soon, so we can really push the unity part, so y'all can see, we're not just talking about it, we're actually doing something about it,
And we got them on the show. We're Native Mexicans, so we got them on the show. They throw festivals, throw them together. You know what I mean?
And once again, they call me Sarah, That's it.
My boy right here, my main man's right here.
We see us? Organize the whole
straight up.
Cool. Go.
Hey, thank you. What can I introduce yourself to you?
Yeah, my Instagram, Semi Face. Yeah, it's him right here. Bless. I'm hoping it's gonna get him. Hopefully, eventually,
All right. Well, thank you guys for your time, and thank you guys for what y'all doing out here. It's important for sure.
So Tina Sampay is also known as Slauson Girl. She is a graduate of Humboldt State University. She's currently building and growing her own news platform and hopes to make Slauson Girl a trusted source for independent news and media. Her drive and intent is representation for marginalized communities, including the one that she comes from. She has a love of journalism, history, and all things hip hop. And that was just the one of the videos that Slauson Girl put together. So want to welcome her into this program. How you doing today, sis?
I'm good. And yourself? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm good. Thank you for asking, and hope everyone in the panel is doing good today as well.
Thank you for being here with us. So again, wanted to show that video that you put together, some of the work that you did, but also not only the actual work that you did, but how can we amplify the work of Black and Brown unity? Because again, we've said that the history and the things that we have in common is much more extensive than that which divides us. But we don't always know that. Media doesn't always show that. So what can we do about that?
I think that's kind of where the importance of independent media comes in. Just people that, are in close proximity where these conversations are happening, that have means to document. They have a camera, or they have, we all have social media. So I think just more of a collective community effort to kind of showcase where these conversations are happening that might not get light like that in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long have you had your platform together?
So the way that it is at the moment, maybe 2.5 years, but it started from basically like a blog when I was in college.
Mm-hmm. So I saw the work, again, I saw the video that you put together, and you've done work. You've covered what's been going on in Compton. We've got Black media here in Los Angeles that doesn't always cover it, in addition to mainstream media. Why did you feel that this was important for you to do?
To cover the video that we just watched?
Yeah,
Or
to cover the
in
to
general?
deal with the issue of Black and Brown unity.
Well, personally, a few reasons, but the main reason being that I feel like we live in too close proximity to not have these conversations. Also, I think that there's underlying things that need to be addressed so that the healing process could continue to happen and that these relationships can be strong and solid within our communities. But the main reason being that we live in too close proximity, and then there was, issues that were being broadcasted all over social media. So just having a platform, I felt it was important to kind of just follow and show what I was seeing in terms of unity and conversations and just things outside of social media posts, Yeah.
Okay, good. We appreciate that, and we'll definitely, before it's over, make sure that everyone gets your information so that they can follow along and support you. Now, one of our other speakers, Raul Garcia, also does some media work. He's got a podcast called Drifting on Memories, which is a lowrider podcast. I want to bring him on in a second. Let me give you his bio first. Raul Garcia is a Northeast Los Angeles native of Huicol. I hope I'm probably mispronouncing that. Huichol and the Baja Kumai tribal affiliation. His experience is in counseling. He is a certified substance abuse counselor, formerly a program director of the American Indian Changing Spirits Residential Facility for Substance Use Disorder Treatment. Again, as I've said, he's got a podcast called Drifting on Memories. What I'd like to do now, before we bring Raul into the conversation, I want to go to this clip of a short film that was done on him not long ago that talks about his, I'm not going to show a long clip, but it talks about part of his recovery process.
Lowriding is definitely an escape for me. It's a time where I'm able to put everything aside. Work, whatever responsibilities that consume me on a day-to-day basis. I'm able to just enjoy my car.
This road is gonna take us back now.
The way I feel when I'm driving my car, I feel actually it's therapeutic for me. I feel like it relieves a lot of stress. The music, the street, the hydraulics up and down, I really feel it does something to my soul. I was able to put something together that's beautiful, that's artwork. And I think it makes parallel with our own native traditions. It's actually native tradition that we display things in a beautiful way. We call it the beauty way. I think about our indigenous people when they're putting their feathers together, when they're putting their regalia together, everything is done in a beautiful way. I feel lowriding is the same way. I identify indigenous because my relatives didn't come over on a boat to this continent. My relatives aren't from other countries. My relatives have always been here.
I'm about to eat some chicken.
We're all Native American until they put up a border. And so I don't acknowledge those borders. You know, those borders don't stop the birds from coming back and forth. They don't stop the animals from coming back and forth. They're just made to stop people. I pass down these traditions by being an example. So if I'm singing in ceremony or if I'm singing at a special event, my children see that. A lot of these songs tell a story. Tell a story about struggles, tell a story about people, about language, about creation. So we can't afford to lose that. The community work that I do, that's my recovery. My identification as Native, that's my recovery. My low riding, that's my recovery, you know, and that's where I'm at today.
See you staring at me, girl. And when it's time, see you holding on me, girl. Cause you gotta hold on me, yeah.
Brother Raul, are you here?
Can you guys hear me?
We hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Maybe
I
the
was
tape on the.
Do you have tape on over the
no,
over the
nothing.
camera?
No, I was on earlier. Did you
Yeah,
guys
you
see me
were on
earlier?
earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a phone call came in and it kicked me off. But as long as you can hear me, maybe I won't be so nervous anyway. So that's my work.
Oh. All right, brother. Let's go ahead. Let's participate. We would love to see you, but all right.
All right. Thank you for this. Thank you, Sister Theo. Thank you, G2 for having this. Black August for having this. Thank you for being predecessors. You know, Tina, it's an honor to be with you guys on this panel. So yeah, I currently I'm a case manager with American Indian Counseling Center, Department of Mental Health, LA County, and I started a podcast last year, and really it was to take back our narrative almost, you know. And I want to mention something that Tina had mentioned about, you know, how we still were able to break bread with each other. We're able to meet up with each other, but there's still that sense of division. And I wanted to say that I hear it on this end too, you know, on the east side end, and they say, you know, well, we don't want to cruise Crenshaw, we don't want to cruise Broadway because it's not safe. But you know, the people that have stepped out of that and that are meeting with, and I want to say black, brown, and red people, you know, the ones that are kind of stepping out, we're having a great time. We're having a great time cruising, listening to the oldies, and just really having you know, a good time. The ones that are not, I understand that too. It's a lot of that incarceration trauma, marginalized community trauma. And so it's going to take a while for us to heal. But I love what the young people are doing and you know, bringing us together. You know, I love what the young people are doing. And fighting for each other's, our rights, our equality, our racial injustices. So I love the movement that's going on now. The podcast is really about that, allowing people to share in their own words with no sponsors, no narratives, but just allowing people to to share on their own word. I've had Mr. Ted Wells from Professionals Car Club, who's just been in lowriding for 50 years, something, from South LA to these guys over here who've been just East LA staples in the lowriding scene. It's Drifting on Memories podcast. It could be found on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and that's why I did it, because those stories need to be told. And a lot of the times, people want to sell or exploit lowriding, and they don't really want to talk about that unity that we have with our people, or they don't want to talk about what it takes to build a lowrider to be actually in the community, and what are we doing for each other in the community. So again, thank you. I want to acknowledge, all our political prisoners, Mumia, Leonard Peltier, all our brothers and sisters incarcerated in the SHU program, wrongfully accused, and just let them know that we love them, we're here for them, and we're still fighting for them. I hope.
Oh, Shay, thank you for that. Thank you. We want to, let's see, time check is 3:59. We said we wanted to at least go to 4 p.m. I'm going to kick it back over to G2 in a couple of moments, because I want us to, if we can, do a type of roundtable. And we're broadcasting on several platforms. Some of you all on I guess you're coming through on Facebook. If you have some questions for any member of the panelists, hopefully I'll be able to get it here and I can relay it to them, or we can put it on the screen. So that's I'd like to do that so that we can get into a discussion and bring you into this also. It's all about call and response and participation. But before I do that, real quick, I wanted to run back over to a couple of quick videos regarding Black and Brown unity. So we're going to do that real quick and come on back.
And so I think in the same manner, we have to look at our youth, because we never question the plant. We never punish the plant for not growing. We always change the conditions in which it's growing. And so I really believe that if we want to address gay violence in our community, we have to look to the social conditions that our young people are growing in.
Step out to the scene, Jones up, clean. The bullshit that they say, they ain't convincing me. I'm reason full of pain, it's just a step away. To comprehend my visions is to really feel my pain. The internet God know, really grabs you by the souls. There's the skills for the kids, look back on parole. They don't want no good control, they want bodies on the floor. How they have a war on drugs if they keep us up the door? How they fight America if America was here? How they really know America was really here? How they invent the wheel if pyramids are real? If pyramids are real, how they invent the wheel? This story's filled with holes, like it was within my soul. No longer blinded by the stories they falsely told. I walk a lonely road, the sisters got me back home. It's time to lock it down and let these motherfuckers know. My skull to let you see what I saw. And what I seen is bloody murder. Please answer the call. Poor raised on the streets, really ran on the block. Imprisonment for years, really set by cops. And for the first time, I'm believing in me. I'm feeling being cut is the thing to be. Girl is beautiful. Hey, kid, you hear me?
And so I think in the same manner, we have to look at our.
In case y'all haven't been able to put two and two together, I am the moderator for today's program. I'm also doing the tech, so just bear with me. Yeah, bear with me big time. That was a big one right there. Hold on. That was Ugly mistake right there. Hold on. Here we come. Here we come.
And hopefully a surprise arrives before we finish. We're hoping. Our first speaker is Clay Johnson. He works for, he's the football coach at Bell Gardens High School, which is all raza. Okay? He also works with El Centro del Pueblo, and he's here to give a few words about unity. Give him a hand, please. First of all, I want to say thank you. I want to thank the organizers. They don't really want their names being said, but there's a few people that put this all together, made everything possible. I definitely want to thank them first. I am African American, but I grew up in a predominantly Latino community. I grew up in Echo Park. I'm the first African American head coach at Bell Gardens, and I was the first African American head coach at Marshall High School, which is right here in Silver Lake. I just wanted to kill some time. I wasn't really supposed to speak, but me being black and growing up in a Latino community, I really didn't understand racism because they never showed me that. They showed me love. I was one of them as long as I grew up in the same community, and I believed in the same things that they believed in. So no color lines. I completely understand that, and I don't recognize anything other than we're people. I don't go by the eyesight. I go by the heart. At the end of the day, black and brown do need to come together. It would be so powerful if both communities came together in unison and spread the message about brutality and civil rights for us all on both ends when it comes to all colors. Right. This is amazing. There was only a few phone calls put together to make this happen, and look at the entire support that the community has brought out and had this entire way. Everybody was peaceful. Nobody changed the idea of why we were out here, why we were cruising, and I really am happy that the LAPD and the sheriff allowed us to come out and cruise instead of like some of you guys. I know you guys know you have cars. There could be 10 of you, and the sheriff and the LAPD show up and shut it down. Right. We need to get more support for cruising, more support for things that are positive, definitely more support for the black and brown community, and definitely more support when it comes to Black Lives Matter and brown pride. On the other hand, we've got to definitely work to get everything that we have in mind and everything that we're marching for in order. So that means the police brutality, that means defunding them, that means finding them the training and the actual means to help and serve the community instead of always using violence when it comes to helping the community. Violence shouldn't be the answer. They're supposed to de-escalate violence. So I did want to mention that. Last but not least, thank you to everybody that came out. Thank you for your support. Thank you to the brown community. Thank you to Black Lives Matter. And I appreciate everybody who came out to support. Thank you.
No. Do we have everyone? Where did G2 go? Okay. Why? Okay, G2, you was trying to sneak some snacks. Is that what you were?
No, I got kicked out.
Oh, okay. So, wanted to, again, like I was saying, kick it back to you, G2, as I try to figure out what's going on with these videos. Kind of like a round table. And again, if anyone has any questions, I'm trying to share the comments online that I've been getting. If anybody has a question for a panelist or anything like that, please, you can do it on the Facebook page or on the YouTube page, and we'll try to get to it. Now, G2, we were having some difficulty with some of the videos, so if you could talk to us about what they were or are.
Yeah, one of the videos of the first one that we were going to see was excerpts from the very first peace summit that took place in Kansas City, Missouri in '93. As I indicated earlier, people came from all around the country, convened in Kansas City, and in the process, we created an organization called National Urban Peace and Justice Summit, which eventually evolved into the International Council, or the National Council for Urban Peace and Justice, that became the International Council for Urban Peace and Justice and Empowerment. It still exists to this day. It's not that active, but that was the basis of it. Some of the relationships that were developed that was shown in the video would be Barters Needles, whose base is in Santa Cruz, California. At one time, Barters Needles had chapters throughout the country. I think it had something like 26 chapters. I'm not sure how many they still have today. So that was one of the videos that would have been shown. And what we did was we began to have this dialogue about these issues. And so we want to open this up as an opportunity based on what's going on around the country right now with the demonstrations. People are becoming more aware and not falling for the hype. And so kick this dialogue off, and hopefully within your circles that conversation can continue. So I just want to open it up with that. I also want to say that looking at Raul in his Monte Carlo, his Monte C, and Tina with the Game Killer, that the organization or the car club that Tina is with is part of the process. We started off in the 70s, or I started off in the 70s with the Supernatural Chevys, which has evolved into Supernatural Car Club. So that's part of my background as well. So I just want to open it up. Anybody has anything to say? I know Tina shared with me just a minute ago that there will be an event coming up in September. And Tina, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, a young lady just sent me a flyer. Sent me a flyer where they're doing a candlelight vigil and a march September 13th at 4 p.m. in honor of Andrew, I can't pronounce his last name, Gordado, Enrique Ramon Martinez, Vanessa Gillian, and Breonna Taylor. And it's a march from Placida Olvera, downtown LA, to City Hall. And everybody is welcome to bring a candle, and face masks are required. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll see if I can put it up to the camera. You guys can see the flyer.
Andres Guardado, who was killed in Gardena by the Compton sheriff. That's the young brother that was shot 5 times in the back.
The security guard.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so that's coming up September. You know, if anybody's interested in going down there, September 13th. And Raul, maybe we can come together and try to bring together the guys down that way that don't want to come to Broadway or Crenshaw, and then I can try to get, our people down there to Whittier, because like you said, the color lines actually need to come completely all the way down. We are actually the majority of the minority, and majority always rules. So that in saying that for is even like voting. We just need to all come together and go out and vote, because the vote that doesn't happen counts for the president that's in office now.
G2, is possible I can show this video now. I'm not sure if it's going to take up the whole screen, but we can try it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot right now.
All right.
I've seen our brothers cry. We're tired. I'm going to the graves.
We're tired of going to the penitentiary. We're tired of receiving our brothers, our wives, our daughters coming to visit them and guards touching them. You got blood, you got grip, you got science, you got body force, you got souls all coming together. With you, different people working in the community, sitting out at the table together saying, listen, we can make a difference. It's time for us to put them guns and pistols away and start loving each other, doing those things in those communities. I remember.
The man that said that I'm the problem, grandfather. The man that says that we are all the problem. No, grandfather, we are part of the solution. And that's what we came here, grandfather. This effort is far bigger than any one of us. This effort is about all of us. The sons and daughters of this country are our sons and our daughters. If we don't put forth the effort to try to make sure there's a future for them, nobody's going to do it. The message that we're trying to send out, we can do this together. We can do this together. There's no big me's and little U's in this. We're all in this. Right. There's a consciousness we're trying to raise. There's a consciousness we're trying to send across this country. We're going to send forth the message when we leave here. It's going to go all across this country. We're tired. We ain't going to take it no more because we're going to start trying to do something. We're going to start trying to work within our communities and try to promote peace. We're going to try to tell our brothers it ain't about killing each other. Right. It's about us trying to do something for each other. I know that we have been manipulated and indoctrinated to hate each other. We have been placed in situations to kill each other. That's right. That manipulation, that indoctrination, if you people here, you're going to change that because you're going to bring about a new consciousness. You're going to bring about the truth. And in that truth, we're going to say freedom. We're going to set each other free. We're going to work towards being able to develop the gifts when we leave from here. Remember, you are the ones who can make the difference. Each and every one of you. It ain't us. It ain't no big me, little you. It's all of us together.
I'm from LA. We formed the Peace Treaty in Los Angeles. The three major projects, Crips, the Bloods, and so on. But we forgot one thing, to thank one person, Mujahid, his father. His father walked through every project while we was out there shooting guys, playing our pistols, talking our mouth. This brother, Mujahid Abdullah Kareem, came to us. No matter how much we cussed at him, he stood there and put his word in. And this established the Peace Treaty in Los Angeles today. He came to us and explained us the real on how it would be if it was peace in this world. And we just want this to work. Because we don't want our babies growing up to fill up them penitentiaries that they do. And it's time to look forward. Stop looking back on the history of the death of them people who died over the mistreatment of our mind. It's time for us to look forward. So we came here to put this thing in effect because we know if it can work in LA, it can push throughout the world. And with all these brothers here, we willing to work with them, not on the basis because we're trapped, but on the basis that we're trying to be free.
All right. Yes. Yeah, for those that don't know me, my name is Gus Frias. I bring greetings from the East LA barrios. We brought together a lot of homeboys from some of the major gangs in LA that are still at war with each other. But I'll tell you again, if you know the history of LA's gangs, we are very deeply rooted. And all I can tell you is that today we brought representatives from 18th Street, some of the Maravillas, Garrity Hills. We got a lot of other individuals from some of the other barrios. And I want to tell you one thing. In terms of leadership, Leadership is a very powerful word that oftentimes we don't understand what it means. But I'll tell you, it is very simple. It is rooted in some very solid principles and values. One of the first values is the value of respect. Everything that we do has to begin with a self-respect and respect for others. Trust. Trust from within and a trust for others. Responsibility. The courage. Each of us is a piece of the major puzzle, and that's the only way we will achieve success in the United States of America. I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So that was one of the clips of the Peace Summit that took place back in 1996. And so again, just underscoring that we have, excuse me, this is not a new thing for us. This is something that we've been working at and having some success at for a while. But there always seems to be new developments. Sometimes people call them hiccups or what have you. And I saw where a Facebook user, unfortunately, I don't have their name, but they asked the question: could someone speak on COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program of the Federal Bureau of Investigation? Someone speak on that in the context of old and new and pitfalls today. Would anyone like to take that? Is there a concern about COINTELPRO when it comes to Black and brown unity? Yes, no, maybe?
I would probably, I would say like a lot of the times we go to our elders and our predecessors and ask them, how did you do things? You know, what would you do differently? Even in the sense of like a tribal community, we go to our elders and we say, how do we move forward this way? And I think that if we're talking about organizing and if we're talking about movement in today's day and age and young people's movements and what they're asking for, we learn from those mistakes, right? And I mentioned our political prisoners that we have, Red Fawn, Leonard Peltier, Mumia, you know, and we find out what were, you know, Leonard Crow Dog, what were the issues back then with the American Indian movement, with the Brown Berets, with the Black Panthers, you know, so that we don't make those same mistakes again, or so organizing doesn't make those same mistakes. And it's not an easy response, to be honest with you. It's not like I don't believe, at least, that it's a one conversation response, to be honest with you. You know, it's a continual dialogue, you know, and if anybody is, you know, making those movements, I would suggest, you know, if they ask me, I would suggest look back at your predecessors. You know, there was people here before us. They were paving the way before us, you know, so many Black and brown and red leaders, women, men leaders, you know, and so we find out from them, we go to them, we offer them, you know, here's tobacco, you know, talk to us about what it was like, talk to us about those mistakes, you know, break bread with them like that, you know, check back in with them.
Seem to have lost G2 for a moment, but Dulcinea, is there anything that you wanted to chime in on?
Actually, can you repeat the question? What was the question again?
The question had to do with, can anyone speak on COINTELPRO in the context of old and new and pitfalls today?
I actually do not know what COINTELPRO
the
is.
counterintelligence
Somebody
program
explain that to me.
of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
My apologies. I don't have any knowledge on that.
You wanted to say
Am I
something?
back in?
Yes, sir. You're here.
Well, okay, to make sure I'm understanding the question correctly, can someone talk about COINTELPRO in context of old and new and pitfalls? I think it kind of goes back to what one of our panelists was saying about that for anybody that is, you know, thinking about organizing today, I think that I think it makes no sense if you're not going back to research what people have already been doing, the movements that happened before now in 2020, and how the previous movement was disrupted, right? Like we it was disrupted. And so a lot of the people that were around from those days, you know, they have that knowledge and they try to keep the spirit alive, but we have to keep in mind what has happened with COINTELPRO and the counterintelligence program, which is basically the FBI director at the time, J. Edgar Hoover, was very spooked by the you know, the mobilizing that the people were doing. Specifically, he wanted to stop the rise of a Black Messiah, right? So they were intentionally targeting the Black community, but within that, anybody that were a part of organizing efforts. So people, you know, within the Indian movement or in the Latino community were also targeted, anybody that was freedom fighters. And so, yeah, it basically, they had some very devilish ways that they disrupted the movements that were happening in the 60s. And a lot of it wouldn't have been successful if it was not for people that looked like us in our communities, right? And so that's very important to know, I feel like, especially when we're organizing in 2020 and we have this momentum going, is we have to be very mindful. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but that's kind of like what came to mind, you know. That's actually something that's always on my mind when we talk about contemporary organizing. And I wonder how in-depth understanding our folks that are millennials, how much they really understand like what has happened previously in the 60s. So I just think COINTELPRO is very important. That's something we should always have like at the center, like, you know, not always focusing on it, but knowing the tactics, definitely, like, I think so.
GT, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, I'll speak to it. What the sister said is pretty much on point. They, through J. Edgar Hoover program, they had taken the position that particularly the Black Panther Party, but other organizations as well, or other individuals that came under attack by them, they would try to undermine the work that organizations were doing or individuals were doing. They had a practice of creating what we call agent provocateurs, meaning getting individuals that look like us and implanting them within those organizations to undermine that work. As it relates to what's happening today, the tactics that were used by COINTELPRO or the counterintelligence program are now institutionalized. I mean, it's part and parcel of everything that happens within the government. People come under attack. So it's something that she mentioned needs to definitely be watched. They didn't go away. They're still, like I said, they pretty much institutionalized.
Dulcinea, did you say you wanted to add something?
Yes, so I did a quick search, and very much so. The involvement of the FBI, you know, and other agencies such as the CIA, you know, spying, infiltrating, killing radical Black, brown leadership, just shows us how powerful individuals' words and organization is. But what I think is important is to also learn to go beyond following that one leader, you know, that one person who speaks for everyone. We must collectively organize the masses so that they can speak for themselves. We are not here to speak for them. They can speak for themselves, you know, so that when a Black leader, when a brown leader, when a powerful leader is murdered by the state, it does not mean that we lose hope. It means, okay, we are still here. The revolution is still here. The struggle is still here. There is no reason to stop. So I think that a great example of this is, for example, the Cuban Revolution, right? So what happened in the Cuban Revolution, the U.S. was upset, you know, pissed. How dare they, you know, kick us out of their little island? So they did the Bay of Pigs, right? Cuban Revolution just got Bautista out of government. How is it that they are going to now counteract the biggest imperialist army in the world to this day? And that is people power. The people were on the side of the revolution. The people were on the side of communism. The people were tired and fed up Black and brown Afro-Cuban history there, correct? So that's what's important. The FBI targets our leadership. They divide and conquer from within. But if we are strong ideologically, and that's what's very important, that ideology, that theory, that practice, if we are strong in our morals, if we are strong in our ideology, in our principles, to know that it is death, to understand that it is not probably going to happen in our lifetimes, but we must set that foundation like our ancestors did, like the leadership before us did, then we can continue forward. And this increased surveillance that's now bigger and more accessible than ever before, we're going to have to learn to work with it. And there's no going around that, right? But to learn, adapt, and continue pushing forward.
Thank you for that, Virginia. We have a question. Is anyone familiar with the Yaqui indigenous resistance in Mexico? Any of our panelists familiar with that?
Yeah, I'm a little bit informed of that.
Person want to know if you could address it or comment or update us on what's happening there.
It's really the constant struggle of indigenous people on all this continent. You know, it's land rights, water rights, it's injustices. A lot of the tribal people in Mexico are being killed off by the cartel that the government allows, for them to come in. Big corporations, Coca-Cola goes into Oaxacan, Mixteco communities. I mean, it's the same stuff. There's fishing right issues in Alaska. There's, we could look, not too far right here and look at what the indigenous people here, the Tongva Gabrielino people, are fighting with to be federally recognized tribes, and not mission Indians. So it's the constant struggle, it's a constant struggle within our people, within our own backyards. And so one of the things is that we just kind of keep ourselves informed and keep ourselves, whenever we can, get out to those struggles, like Standing Rock, like even the movement that's going on here in Los Angeles and California with the removal of Junipero Serra statues, with the one thing I did want to mention, and that I want to be clear on also, even within the lowrider community, is that we don't co-opt these struggles, that we come in and say, hey, we're here as a lowrider community, we're here as a brown, red community, but we're for Black Lives Matters. We're not going to push our agenda. We're not going to try to say, hey, it's Black lives and brown lives, Black lives and red lives. No, we come in a humble way. We come in and say, hey, we're here. You guys tell us where you need us, like that. And when we have our struggle, Black community comes in and says, hey, we're here, like that video you showed. Hey, we're here. You guys tell us where you need us. I think that's the way to go right now. And again, I love the movement of the young people, but I think that there's some things to understand. And I think my brother G2 also mentioned that, like we've been doing that work from the 60s and the 70s, and we've been low riding and doing that work. Low riding itself is a form of protest. Those cars are illegal to be on the streets. You're not supposed to have hydraulics on those cars. You're not supposed to have those little steering wheels. You're not supposed to be able to do three-wheel motion on the streets. That is it, and it's so encapsulating, and it's so beautiful to say, here's a piece of artwork rolling down the streets of South Central where there are no artwork, there are no art museums, but look, this is our cultural art, and it's rolling down the streets, and it's a show of protest, right?
G2, you had another video you wanted to go to real quick. Also, let me do a quick time check. It's 4:32. I'm getting some comments. I'm trying to share them with the audience. I'm getting a lot of speechifying also. Speechifying and commenting is two different things. We're not going to put up your speeches, okay? If you got any questions, though, for our panelists that you want them to address, we're happy to put those up. G2.
Yeah, the video is short, and the quality is not that good, but I think it's important that at least it show that part of it. It's about 30 seconds. If you can bring it up, it says press conference.
All right, y'all, hold on to your seats. We're gonna try it.
Expressing sympathy for a Latino family devastated by last month's arson fire in Jordan Downs, the inmates also have a message of hope for Black and Latino youngsters.
Representative of Black and Hispanic prisoner organizations, moved by last month's tragic fire at the Jordan Downs housing project, the fire that took the lives of 5 members of one Hispanic family, and a fire possibly set by a group of blacks, an act that increased tensions between the races in the project. But the tragedy had just the opposite effect inside the prison, where Black and Hispanics raised over $2,000, and today presented checks to survivors of the Zuniga family to help with burial expenses, and a check to Gregory Moore, who acted heroically during the incident. Leaders of the inmate organizations called on Blacks and Hispanics to work together to solve problems.
With all the violence that we have going on in our communities, someone needs to come forward and say something to oppose what's happening, and to try to change the direction of what's going on.
A lot of the brothers here, it looks like they've come together more as one, and they're willing to help each other by any needs that we're all able to do here in the institution.
The men wanted to offer a positive message from behind the walls of the prison, especially to young people in the city. And they admitted that working together was a good experience
Coming
inside.
together, one, not black and white, Mexican, but all one, helping together. We take it for unity.
Bob Banfield, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, at the California Men's Prison in Chino.
G2, what year was that press conference? G2, can you hear me? G2 might be frozen. You might have to. Yeah, I think the connection. Oh.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I think I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What year was that press conference from?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. That happened when this happened. What they don't say in the news report, there were 3 babies and 2 women that lost their life in that fire. The gentleman in the blue shirt ran in to try to help the family. Mr. Zuniga, the grandfather, thought he was one of the assailants and shot him. The media, as they always do, try to sensationalize things in the community. Mentioned one time about the black man going in the help, and you heard nothing else about him. So when this occurred, knowing the ramifications or the potential for that to explode within the prison system, I got with some brothers I knew, some Chicano brothers, and we did the opposite of what was going on in the community, the conflict between the community. We put out some flyers. We raised over $2,000, and we organized a press conference and brought Mr. Zuniga and Gregory Moore into the prison. And the impact that he had, first of all, that was the first time they'd seen each other since that incident. They said no one else addressed this. It created an atmosphere of unity on the yard, where now instead of black and brown being separated, you go in the yard and somebody might just give you a heads up from another group. In addition to that, students from Cal State LA, from the Black Student Union and MECHA, heard about it and wanted to come meet us. And so they came up to the
You're freezing up, comrade. I'm not sure, maybe your connection, or you might have some extra window.
The importance of it is that we begin to create dialogue or discussion within the prisons. So that's something that we can carry on out in the community. Okay, but that was the gist of it, was that for dialogue. And so some of those stereotypes or some of the distance between groups were lessened. And that's something that we need to continue, particularly what's going on right now in the community.
Okay, one of the viewers stated that the most liberal states.
I'm frozen, or can you?
I can hear you. So one of our viewers says the most liberal states have the most segregated prisons and county jail systems. What impact does jail and prison politics have on Black and brown relationships? Raul, if you want to jump in also.
I don't want to do too much jumping in. I think if anything, I just want to make a quick point that what I mentioned earlier, it's trauma. It's institutionalized trauma. It's marginalized community trauma. It takes a while to heal, and it's intergenerational trauma. You know, our older brother, older uncle goes into prison, comes out and tells the little nephew, "Hey, bro, we don't mix with them. You know, we don't get down with them, right?" So it's that constant, you know, and it's going to take some time to break. But I think we have a good community movement now, and I think that we have, like Brother G2 said, we have more in common than we don't. And we need to just probably tap into that. Last thing I'll say, like how admirable is it for someone like Sloss and Grill to go in there and bring those communities and say, hey, you know, here's our real media. You know, it's not our white exploitational media that's glorifying gang violence in the hoods, but here's what's really going down. And she went in there as a Black woman, says, hey, let me talk to you guys. You know, these are real active gangsters, right? Or active gang members, and said, hey, what's really cracking right here?
Right, definitely. Thanks. Yeah.
So one of the viewers had a question. The comrade from Union del Barrio brings up unity of theory, politics as a key to success of a movement. How do we get that access to more people who might not see the specific connection between racial conflict and capitalism? Dulcinea, I think that's you. You're on,
I think a very important introduction to theory, right? Because capitalism, Karl Marx, a white man, what does he know about the realities of the colonized, about the experiences of us living in poor Black and brown communities, right? But it is very important to analyze our material conditions to understand the other forms of oppression, right? Of racism, of sexism, all the other isms. And I believe that one of the most important, easy ways to understand the importance of theory is by reading, and by when we see the connection of what we read to our realities. And I would actually like to point out, for example, Soledad, Brother, The Prison Letters of George Jackson, which I picked it up when I realized that I was going to be on this panel, because this is not heavy theory. This is not full of concepts. This is real life reality. This is telling you this is what I lived through. This is a racism that I faced. And this is systematic. It's not a coincidence that I'm here. It's not a coincidence that Black and brown people are the most incarcerated. It's not a coincidence. It's done on purpose. I'm being shackled and colonized on purpose, right? And my introduction started with Malcolm X. Malcolm X, you know, what did he call himself? He was immersed in, you know, in poverty in Harlem, right? He was always drugged, looking for narcotics. They called him the devil, right, in prison when he was in prison, until he came to his politicization of understanding what the problem is. So I think when we look at other leaders, and stop using that word, when we look at other individuals and how they begin to understand the poverty that surrounds them, why we don't have access to medicine. Why is it that during COVID, Black and brown people are the ones who are mostly affected? Why do we have poor education? Black and brown poor students are going to be left even more behind than they already were after this COVID pandemic when it comes to education. So all of these issues are systematic. And once we understand that relationship, when we read Asada Shakur, when we read Malcolm X, when we read Fidel Castro and his autobiography, when we become to develop this global perspective, when we begin to unite with each other in our stories, then we can understand why after theory or before theory and practice are very interconnected, and theory without practice, that it does not matter. You can say all the jargon that you want, but if you're not organizing, if you're not doing the work, no, just keep it to yourself in your ivory towers. So I think that's very important.
Okay. It is 4:44 p.m. and we are moving right along. G2, again, going back to the issue of what's happening behind the walls, there was a nationwide strike a couple of years ago, striking against solitary confinement. That started here in the movement started here in the California prisons and spread elsewhere. And there was an agreement to end hostilities behind the prison walls. Can you talk about that briefly? I think you're on mute, comrade.
Okay.
Yes.
One of the things that brothers, particularly those that were that had been warehoused for decades in Pelican Bay SHU, and when I say brothers, I'm speaking about all the brothers, regardless of their cultural or racial background. They came up with this agreement to push out of the institution the effort to address a lot of the conflict by people signing on to this agreement. And basically what it indicated was that you were making a personal commitment to end hostilities within the prison system and also within the community. It hasn't gotten a lot of traction over the years. This happened back in 2012. It hasn't gotten a lot of traction over the years, but that's one of the things that we could talk about or within our circles, is this agreement to end hostilities. That's something that you could talk to young people about that's engaging in activity in the community that's counterproductive. So that would be the basis of conversation that we could have, and that's also being still supported within the prison system.
We have time for one more video, G2, if you want to give us some context and background.
Okay, there was several of them, so I don't know which one you're referring to.
Okay. Well, then in that case, do we have any parting words from our panelists? Anything that you forgot to just get in there? Tina Slauson Girl, and Tina, Raul.
I just say, lean on the those that have come before us, just really getting into the to studying just the different organizations and the different movements, specifically in the 60s, or even, going a little bit earlier than that. And I think that, yeah, if we're going to be working towards building solid, you know, bases of solidarity in our community, we can't skip over what has happened already. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Certainly, I would like to speak to one of them. We haven't had much involvement with young people, and there's one video where it shows some of the young people that are involved. That one would be Santa Cruz. If you can cue that one up.
Okay, we're gonna see about if we can do about 5 minutes of this. Let's see.
It's less than 5 minutes.
Okay. Hello. Hey. Okay. Okay, dokie. Okay.
Oh, for a picture?
Back up, I would like to present you Nane, Daniel, Alejandra with this shirt. And thank you for inviting us to Barrios Unidos and giving us an experience to see the because we never learned the history of y'all. But thank you for letting us learn your history.
All right. Perfect.
I thought they said he was giving all of us if we had cards, we'll give them to y'all. You know, call us. We have my card.
So G2, give us the context of that one more time, and then we're going to wrap it on up so we can let people get to whatever it is they had planned to do on this Sunday afternoon.
Okay. That was the young brothers that you saw with the backdoor T-shirts on. His organization that started when I got out of prison in '92. It's the acronym for Black Awareness Community Development Organization. And one of the things that we've always tried to do is make sure that there was cross-cultural interaction. So Nane, the one that was presented with the T-shirt, is the brother that I met. That was in '96, that Peace Summit. And that's something that he does annually in Santa Cruz. But he's a brother that I met in 1993 at the first Peace Summit. So we've maintained that relationship since that time. And we went up to Santa Cruz to participate in the Peace Summit that they were having within their community, involving a lot of conflict, brown on brown conflict, and trying to bring a lot of those young brothers to the table.
Okay. Thank you for that, G2. Thank you. Thank you for that history. Thank you for all the work that you have been doing and you continue to do. And I also want to thank all of you, our panelists, Slauson Girl, Tina Sampe, First Lady of the Supernaturals, Tina, Union Del Barrio, Dulcinea, Raul Garcia. Thank you all so much for giving up your time and being with us today, giving us your perspectives. We greatly appreciate you. This video will be available on all of our platforms for people to come back and view and reference later. We'll also have your social media handles available so people can follow you and stay up with what you're doing. We are going to get on out of here, but before we go, we're going to leave on a particular note. We want to give honor and praise. Again, this is Black August, where we commemorate our martyrs. We're going to leave you with some Gil Scott-Heron, by a poem for Jose Campos Torres, and the artist Her, H-E-R, abbreviate Her, I Can't Breathe, as we give honor to those Black and brown lives that have been lost to state violence. So please, thank you again for watching. Thank you again for hanging with us. Continue to observe Black August and keep an eye out for all the various activities. You all take care, stay safe, and we will catch up with y'all later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A poem for Jose Campos Torres. I had said I wasn't going to write no more poems like this. I had confessed to myself all along, chaser of life, poetry trends, that awareness, consciousness poems that screamed of pain and the origins of pain and death that blanketed my tablets. And therefore, my friends, brothers, sisters, in-laws, outlaws, and besides, they already knew. But Brother Torres, common ancient bloodline Brother Torres, is dead. I had said I wasn't going to write no more poems like this. I had said I wasn't going to write no more words down about people kicking us when we're down, about racist dogs that attack us and drive us down, drag us down and beat us down. But the dogs are in the street. The dogs are alive, and the terror in our hearts has scarcely diminished. It has scarcely brought us the comfort we suspected. The recognition of our terror and the screaming release of that recognition has not removed the certainty of that knowledge. How could it? The dogs, rabid, foaming with the energy of their brutish ignorance, stride the city streets like robot gunslingers and spread death as night lamps flash crude reflections from gun butts and police shields. I had said I wasn't going to write no more poems like this. But the battlefield has oozed away from the stilted debates of semantics, beyond the questionable flexibility of primal screaming. The reality of our city, jungle streets, and their Gestapos has become an attack on home, life, family, philosophy, total. It is beyond the question of the advantages of didactic niggerisms. The motherfucking dogs are in the street. In Houston, maybe someone said Mexicans were the new niggas. In LA, maybe someone said Chicanos were the new niggas. In Frisco, maybe someone said Orientals were the new niggas. Maybe in Philadelphia and North Carolina, they decided they didn't need no new niggas. I had said I wasn't going to write no more poems like this, but the dogs are in the street. It's a turnaround world where things are all too quickly turned around. It was turned around so that right looked wrong. It was turned around so that up looked down. It was turned around so that those who marched in the street with Bibles and signs of peace became enemies of the state and risk to national security, so that those who questioned the operations of those in authority on the principles of justice, liberty, and equality became the vanguard of a communist attack. It became so you couldn't call a spade a motherfucking spade. Brother Torres is dead. The Wilmington 10 are still incarcerated. Ed Davis, Ronald Reagan, James Hunt, and Frank Rizzo are still alive, and the dogs are in the motherfucking street. I had said I wasn't going to write no more poems like this. I made a mistake.
At the same time, all the corruption and justice, the same crimes. Always a problem if we do or don't fight and we die. We don't have the same right. What is a gun to a man that surrenders? What's it gonna take for someone to defend her? If we all agree that we're equal as people, then why can't we see what is evil? I can't breathe. You're taking my life from me. I can't breathe. Will anyone fight for me? Ooh, oh, oh. Ooh, oh, oh. Ooh, oh, oh. How do we cope when we don't love each other? Where is the hope and the empathy? How do we judge off the color? The structure was made to make us the enemy. Praying for change cause the pain makes you tender. All of the names you refuse to remember, or somebody's brother, friend, or son to a mother that's crying, saying, I can't breathe. You're taking my life from me. I can't breathe. Will anyone fight for me? Oh, 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 oh. Anyone fight for me? Oh, oh,
Trying times all the time. Destruction of minds, bodies, and human rights. Stripped of bloodlines, whipped and confined. This is the American pride. It's justifying a genocide, romanticizing the theft and bloodshed that made America the land of the free. To take a black life, land of the free, to bring a gun to a peaceful fight for civil rights. You are desensitized to pulling triggers on innocent lives because that's how we got here in the first place. These wounds sink deeper than the bullet your entitled hands could ever reach. Generations and generations of pain, fear, and anxiety. Equality is walking without intuition, saying the protector and the killer is wearing the same uniform. The revolution is not televised. Media perception is forced down the throats of closed minds, so it's lies in the headlines and generations of supremacy resulting in your ignorant, privileged eyes. We breathe the same and we bleed the same, but still we don't see the same. Be thankful we are God-fearing because we do not seek revenge. We seek justice. We are past fear. We are fed up eating your shit because you think your so-called black friend validates your wokeness and erases your racism. That kind of uncomfortable conversation is too hard for your trust fund pockets to swallow. To swallow the strange fruit hanging from my family tree because of your audacity to say all men are created equal in the eyes of God, but disparage a man based on the color of his skin. Do not say you do not see color. When you see us, we can't breathe.